Hello, and welcome to another stream on the Total Space Network. I'm Mikko, the host of Deep Dive, and joining me today is Jack.
Hello, everyone! Let's get into it, boy. Right. Let's get on it, I would say. Where do I start?
Jack.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, on today's stream, we'll check out Ryan's space update next, and after that, we'll be talking about what's been happening in Starbase, and then we will go over what the sanctions of Russia and things in Ukraine, how will they affect space? So let's start with the space update.
Right, okay.
Hi guys, Ryan here with another wonderful episode of Space Updates coming up on Lockheed Martin investing in the UK space industry and more space news. Let's get started. So first up this week, we've got a few launches coming up. We've got a Long March 2C from China, launching on Saturday the 5th. And then just a little later on Tuesday next week, on the 8th of March, we've got a Falcon 9 launching another batch of Starlink satellites. So first up this week, Lockheed Martin are investing in the UK space industry right here in England, more specifically right here where I am in the sunny northeast. Lockheed announced plans to establish a space-focused facility in the northeast of England and outlined intentions to create up to 2,300 jobs for a facility which would bring an investment of more than £50 million, or the equivalent of $67 million to the area. It would be Lockheed Martin's largest space-focused expansion outside the United States. The company currently employs about 1,800 people in the UK across various aerospace defence activities. Some of the new jobs outlined in this upcoming investment would create jobs outside of Lockheed Martin and will create an expanding supply chain that the company aims to foster. Now, it's all fantastic news for the UK, and there's so much to look forward to this year. If you'd like to follow us on our adventures to the likes of Spaceport Cornwall for the first UK launch with Virgin Orbit and launches from Scotland and Shetland Islands, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. Now, OneWeb has left the Russian Cosmodrome after recent events. OneWeb announced on the 3rd of March that its board voted to suspend all launches from Russia and ordered staff to leave the Russia's Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan amid an impasse over planned 4th of March launch of its batch of satellites on a Soyuz rocket. With tensions rising amid Russia and Ukraine, Roscosmos Director General said the planned launch would only go ahead if OneWeb guaranteed the satellites would not be used for military purposes, and the British government divested its stake in the company. But it seems that OneWeb had done the right thing and walked away, but potentially this will cause serious problems at OneWeb as launches are paid up front and Roscosmos are likely going to refuse to give any of that cost back to OneWeb. Hopefully there's a solution in the near future and we'll keep you guys updated as soon as we get it. Now I want you to go like this video, go subscribe, join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/totalspace, or become a member right here on YouTube. Yep, we have that now. Thanks for watching. I'm Ryan, this is the Space Update, and I'll catch you next week.
And next up, we'll be talking more about Starbase. So I'll hand it over to Jack.
Right, hello everyone. Today, basically everyone happens at Starbase on a daily basis, but let's go over some of the highlights. Over the last week, Starship number 20 got a little bit frosty with liquid nitrogen. This is to test the vehicle with pressurized tanks and full of liquid to test the integrity of the vehicle. BN4 also got very frosty to limits we have never seen before, and we also saw extra vents from the orbital launch tower and table. Moving on down to pad 39A, we have parts of the launch complex are on the way to Hangar X or Roberts Road. The parts that were seen were the orbital launch table, and these parts will be used to construct a starbase, Starship infrastructure down at Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. These parts do look slightly improved with easier construction, so it won't take as much time to construct the orbital launch table, because I believe that took about 9 months to construct. We also had beams for the launch tower which were spotted. The big side beam, but the 4 beams that would be in each corner, have one of those has been spotted, and the beams that go in between those have also been spotted. We are getting there. Over the next few weeks, we hope to see more columns and beams and just ramp up of infrastructure at Roberts Road and also at Kennedy Space Center. The facility at Roberts Road is also getting along nicely. Hangar X is getting an expansion. This could be for offices or extra refurbishment space for Falcon 9s. There's also new foundation work at the back of the site where a Starbase factory is proposed with a large production tent and 2 high bays. Also at Starbase, the metal tents where they produce all the barrel sections and nose cones are getting replaced by one large production building. This is replaced. This will be replaced in sections. So one section of the factory will be built, and another tent next to it will be removed, and another section of the factory will be built, and so on. Over at Kennedy again, Blue Origin has began to build a test stand / cleaning stand for their engines. The second section has risen, and we hope to see more progress on this soon. That's all for Starbase updates.
All right, thank you, Jack.
No
It's
problem.
always very nice to see how much is happening at the Starbase.
Yep, just in a week.
Yeah, just in a week. Light speed.
Yep.
And for all the viewers, please ask any questions you have. We will, of course, answer the questions if we can.
Absolutely.
But now I will be talking about how the war on Ukraine affects space. So first and the most important thing is, of course, the International Space Station. The attitude control on ISS is provided from the Russian side, and if Russia happens to stop controlling the station, it would take some time for it to fall off, but that wouldn't really happen because there would be, for example, the Cygnus from Northrop Grumman, that they are at the moment already testing how it can reboost the station, for example. But I don't expect Russia to just stop controlling the station, and they will be using their Progress vehicles and the station's own system. But there's another question of how long will Russia actually extend the ISS program. The US side has said the extension would be until 2030, but Rogozin from the Roscosmos did say that it might be difficult in Russia to continue after 2025. And Kai is asking, do you think Russia will be out of further commercial space business? Most likely. I will I will go that over in more detail a bit later. And then when we talk about the Cygnus aircraft that could be able to boost the ISS, it has the Antares rocket that it has been flown has a Ukrainian first stage, so that could be difficult in future. And on top of that, the first stage has Soviet engines coming from Russia, so it's looking like the Antares won't be flying anymore. I mean, I do think they may have one or two rockets in storage, but that will, yeah. Uh, uh, yeah, did you have something to say, Jack?
Yes, kind of. Cygnus can also launch on Atlas, Falcon 9, and other kind of launch vehicles. So this isn't the end of Cygnus,
Yeah,
but it could be the end of Antares.
yeah, I think it will be the end of Antares, and it will probably launch on Falcon 9. And
Maybe.
yeah, Astrolys is asking, hi Mikko, do you think we could arrange to shoot Putin to the sun on an American broomstick? Well, I hope we can do that.
Does anyone know a witch? Is the question. I've been thinking. I've been tossing and turning about the idea of a dragon power pack to boost the ISS, maybe in the trunk, for example. I think it could be possible with enough testing, but it is a dangerous endeavour.
Yeah, Dragon could be able to boost the station, but it would need some software changes, and then they would really need to look at the interaction of the exhaust gases so it wouldn't damage the station while doing an
Yeah.
orbital reboost.
Also depends if their boat thrusters have enough thrust. It depends what um section to the station they're docked at. How many forward Xeno, for example.
Yeah. And continuing on the ISS program, it will be interesting to see, for example, if the cosmonaut Anna, I think it was, I'm not sure what her last name was, but she was supposed to fly on Crew 5 mission, I think. It will be interesting to see if she actually
Oh yeah, I
flies
know what you're
on a
talking about.
Dragon.
Yeah.
And the same thing, will US be flying on Soyuz vehicles?
I thought
That's
that was the kind of thing we're trying to get away from when we done commercial crew, but I suppose not.
well, they always did want to, have the seat exchange program, so they would
Yeah.
fly on the other vehicle every now and then, and it was of course a good idea, but today's situation may have changed it. And
Possibly.
yeah, but
Do
I
you,
do think the astronaut Mark Van de Hey, who flew on Soyuz to the station, he's quite likely going to return with the Soyuz,
yeah,
and
it's most
not
likely.
hop on a Dragon. That would be,
Yeah. It
yeah,
would
but
require. I remember the man Scott Manley. I watched a video about that with how hard it would be for another crew member to land on Soyuz because the suits are completely measured, the seats, shells are completely like designed to the astronaut riding in them. So, like, see the back shells on the seat on Soyuz? Those are, like, specifically fitted for each astronaut. So, when even when switching Soyuz, they change the back shells on the seats. So, it'll be quite hard for another astronaut to fit in them comfortably and safely.
yeah, absolutely. And Kai is suggesting that maybe Axiom will be the partner of ISS sooner than later.
Depends. If I guess they could go like if it depends the situation. If Russia decided to de-dock their part of the station from the US modules. Axiom could possibly, with NASA and government funding, like speed up their processes to get those modules launched faster. If
Yeah.
they wanted another part of the station to replace where the Russian section was.
Yeah, possibly. But I do think that it would be quite difficult to undock from the US side.
Yeah, it'd be like cold rust, I think.
Yeah. And I think Scott Manley said it would pretty much be impossible. I mean, they could try to take the Nauka module, but the Nauka had the thrusters disabled after
The
docking.
incident.
Yeah, after the
Is
incident.
the incident, yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
with I want to like try and get a little bit of conversation on some of the stuff going like at Launchpad 39A. Do you think that they'll get Launchpad 39A with Starship up and running by the end of 2022, for example?
I mean, I do think that they are starting to build it there, but after they will get an approval from Boca Chica or in Boca Chica, I don't think they will be in hurry at the
Yeah.
39A. But if they don't get approval, then they will be, well, I think they may be around the same situation as they are now by the end of the year.
With Starbase, so that is actually a good point. If an EAS is ordered by the FAA, that is an environmental impact statement, that could take 2 to 4 years to complete. That
Yeah.
could mean my idea of what would happen is I would say 80% of SpaceX's Boca Chica crew would transition to Cape Canaveral, well, not Cape Canaveral, sorry, Launchpad 39A, and they would keep a skeleton crew just maintaining Boca Chica for when that EIS comes in. That is my opinion. There's no rumor, there is no backers behind that, but that is my kind of idea what could happen. But we'll see what they actually do. Also, also depends on also even a mitigated Fonzie could cause problems because it could be big changes that need to be made with, like, say, power plant or ground infrastructure. So that could take a few months, and that could delay launch to quite an extent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And let's take a comment from Andrew Ramage. He's saying that the angry astronaut informs us that Sierra Space can reboost the station with Dream Chaser, which he believes could be launched on Falcon 9. I think it can be launched on Falcon 9, even though it's supposed to be launched on Vulcan rockets. I think it was the first or the second flight of Vulcan that's supposed to be the Dream Chaser, if both are ready at the time.
I'm unsure about a point. When did NASA reopen applications for cargo and crew with Dream Chaser?
Sorry?
When? Yeah. Did NASA make a exception? Obviously the initial selections of SpaceX and Cygnus to resupply the ISS for cargo. When was the decision made to allow Dream Chaser to resupply to an extent as well?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think Right, let's take another question from the chat. Citizen guy is asking, how do you think it will all play out with the SpaceX's oil refurbishments and the towers being built, do you think Elon will start Raptor version 2 testing campaign?
Do you want me to answer that, or do you want?
Yeah, you can answer.
So what we're expecting is the same with the other oil rig, is that they will completely get rid of unnecessary equipment on the oil rigs and strip them down to bare bones just to have a bare platform. This will most likely then be infrastructure on the ground will most likely be built and lifted onto those oil rigs and secured to the platform. Those oil rigs will then obviously get towed out to the sea, and Starship they hope to land boosters on them. Well, boosters and starships on them for a full flight. They'll obviously have to find a way to refuel, uh, refuel ground commodities at those oil rigs, but um, with the question about Raptor 2, I believe they've already started testing it. We saw some
Yeah,
videos at Elon's Starship presentation that we waited about 2 years for. Um, we also saw how stripped back it was. It's like it looks like a completely different engine because it's not a prototype engine anymore. Doesn't need as much sensors for data because it's a full production engine. They also promised to reduce costs from Raptor 1 to Raptor 2 by half. Also,
yeah,
the thrust on Raptor 2 is more is in, is lots more than Raptor 1, and this will provide a better capacity for Starship, I believe. And that's the question answered. That's the question answered.
yeah, absolutely. And Kai is commenting that he thinks SpaceX will ramp up the activities at the Cape and the rigs. Yeah, absolutely. It will depend. My opinion is it will depend quite a lot on the environmental impact assessment. Then
Uh,
I can. There are quite a few more things that the Ukraine war does affect. For example, there's this Russian satellite, or I don't remember the name of it, but there's also a German instrument on board, and Germany did actually close that instrument, so they couldn't use part of the. I think
Thank
it
you,
was some
Jessica.
sort of telescope, and
Yeah, possibly.
yeah, and another collaboration mission with the Europeans and Russia is the European Mars rover that's supposed to launch this year.
ExoMars is
Presumably,
that?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
that's supposed to launch with a Proton rocket. So I doubt that's going to happen this year.
Yep.
Also, the lander for it is Russian built, so I'm not sure if they can just take it and launch it on another rocket.
Yeah, if it's okay, I want to talk about what it would take to change a payload to a different rocket, say from Soyuz to Falcon 9. It would require that they do some thorough analysis on
Mhm.
the G-forces and vibrations during liftoff on this different launch vehicle and see if this satellite can withstand these these obstructions. Also, they would need to look at the fuel of the rocket and see how they could keep the fuel. Um, how they could keep the fuel stored, and
Mhm.
also how they can use the rocket to its full advantage to get close to its destination as possible. They would also need to look at payload adapters because Soyuz and Falcon 9 payload adapters will be different, and that would maybe require different separation systems for the satellite, and also different thrusters, etc., to get to its final destination again. Also
Yeah,
depends also just on cost because sometimes I don't know if Soyuz has a cancel before you buy policy, but a cancel before you flies policy, sorry. But they'd
Mhm.
have to look at the cost comparisons and to see if it fits within their budget. That is pretty much what goes into changing payload. It could take years, but it just depends. What could happen if with European instruments and satellites that which may not launch on Soyuz, for example.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Although I don't really think that if they would change it to Falcon 9, the around 50 million
It's
launch
yeah,
price probably wouldn't matter in a Mars mission. So
yeah,
that would
yeah.
probably be a small enough cost there.
I did notice that Soyuz has like sufficiently less thrust as Falcon 9, and I would say it's about a 10 million gap between the two.
It was actually the Proton rocket,
Oh, yeah.
the Russian Proton rocket that would launch the Mars
Alright, okay.
mission. So it's around the same mark as a Falcon 9.
Yeah.
But
Do you?
yeah, yeah, all the things you said do matter. How would they get another payload adapter? How long would it take?
Yeah. Also, did you see what Roscosmos live streamed today?
I did not.
They live streamed. You don't usually do this, and they taking Soyuz with OneWeb off the pad.
I did see a clip afterwards. Yeah, that's a political statement from them.
Yeah, they also had the same tags that the Russian army had on the transport erector. Right, we've got
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
got a question.
since we are talking about the Soyuz and OneWeb, I think it's a good idea to have a look how that would affect how that would be affected in future.
Yeah,
And yeah,
absolutely.
they did cover the US and British flags from the rocket. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty clear what it was all about. But
yeah.
And the Russians won't be launching the OneWeb unless the UK government would sell their share from
I
OneWeb,
highly doubt
and
they'll do that.
yeah, they won't be doing that. So using Cosmos launches is not an option.
Do
And
you? Oh, sorry. On you go.
yeah, the next question is: could they launch it on another rocket like Falcon 9? I do think that would probably be the ideal choice. Falcon 9 is the cheapest and it has
It's
a lot of
it's getting,
availability.
yeah, but sometimes I guess it depends on satellite readiness, but it depends when they can get a mission.
Yeah, I mean, if they pay SpaceX, SpaceX probably could just replace one of their Starlink
Yeah, true. That's true.
time slots with that one, since they are getting money from that.
Yeah, and they're basically the same size, but as I said, it'll be changing payload adapters, doing analysis. That could take a little bit as well. They
Yeah,
maybe done that before they pick Soyuz.
yeah, but definitely that's a more likely option than flying on Ariane 5, for example, or Ariane 6.
Yeah, Ariane 5 hasn't got enough missions left. And Ariane 6
Yeah,
hasn't got it's quite far away from its first flight. But not quite, but not the
yeah,
kind of time frame.
not too far. I think the first
Mm.
launch will be this year, but even even if it launches this year, most of the first launches are already sold, so they really can't fit OneWeb in the schedule that
Yeah,
easily.
we have a question from Jettisoned Guy. What's the fastest way to a Starship hypersonic flight test? Will HLS be a higher priority? Right, is it okay if I give my opinion first?
Yep, go ahead.
My opinion is they could use a vehicle such as, say, SN16, which is just sitting about. It's quite outdated. Doesn't really need to survive re-entry, to be honest. But they could just slap some Raptor ones on that. Some that wouldn't say about to get scrapped, but they weren't got to use. And they could just basically prepare it like a test flight, to be honest. They could just sit on a. I don't know if they could launch from pad A or pad B or suborbital pads. It could be possible.
Probably they would use the launch tower.
Maybe. But that could be possible if they have some like added time, like say a booster isn't ready and they're having some problems with the booster. Could be a good way to get data. It's all about data. That's it for me.
Yeah, I think that's quite likely. It's possible they would do a quick flight with the current boosters and ships, but yeah, if the environmental assessment takes longer, they will probably use other ships.
That see they can't complete a full static fire of the booster until the environmental assessment is complete. So they can't fire all 29.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, and then let's talk a bit about how it will affect ULA. So ULA has all the engines for their Atlas V rocket, but they are not going to get more engines from Russia since the export is not allowed anymore. So I do think Atlas V will be able to fly its missions just fine. They did say they would want some Russian expertise integrating the engines, but even without that, it should be fine. And of course, the Vulcan rocket is coming up, so that's not a big problem. And then just an overlook about the commercial market. I do think SpaceX will be the biggest winner here. They are probably going to get all or most of the launches, commercial launches from Soyuz rockets. And yeah, there's not many commercial rockets that they can use anymore. So I think that's about it for today.
Yep.
I've been
Seems so.
Mikko, the host of Deep Dive, and with me,
I'm Civilian Space. Hope
yeah,
you enjoyed this space update. Hope you join us soon. Hope you join us on some future live streams. I'll hopefully be there. And that's all from me. Have a good night.
right, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.